everyone. Welcome. This is going to be a very interesting chat. This is the Founders Chat, and we're talking about the future of fashion. What is going on in this landscape that we are in? I'm your host, Althea Blackford, and I have a great set of guests with me here today. We do have Rosanna Ortiz from StyleWeek Northeast, and we also have Davy from Fashion Week Brooklyn. Welcome, everyone. This is going to be a very interesting chat.
Thanks for having us.
No problem. So as we kick off into this conversation, how is everybody doing with their own fashion weeks? I know, Rosanna, you were supposed to be earlier this year, and what's going on with that in terms of how things are going, and then we'll go from there. So take it away, Rosanna.
Great. Well, thank you so much for having me, Althea, and it's very nice to meet you. So yes, StyleWeek Northeast, our 18th season, 10th year anniversary was supposed to be in May. Thank you. And we missed it because of COVID, which is unfortunate. But what we decided to do was we decided to move the 5-day week that we usually go with into 2021. But we are having a very small auxiliary fashion event to celebrate and commemorate our 10th anniversary in October 15th, next week.
Nice.
So yeah, we're doing something small there. And Althea, as you know, we have the Seed Student Design Challenge that we do every year. So we already had our Seed students create those garments out of recycled materials. So we did have to show them because many of those students have gone off to college.
Wow.
So we had to show those. And then Kent Stetson, one of our veteran designers, he has created a retrospective art fashion show that will be presented right after the Seed show.
Wow.
So it is outdoors at one of our restaurant partners. What we're going to have everyone wear a mask. No one has hair or makeup done. Lots of those parameters to ensure that we are following all of the governor's orders are in place. But we're going to make the best of it. And I think we all need a little bit of positivity.
Nice. Well, that's amazing that you were able to figure out a way where it's just like, I don't think this is going to happen, but there was light at the end of the tunnel. So at least 2020, there's some type of fashion that is definitely coming out of Providence, Rhode Island. That is amazing.
Yes, and we'll live stream it. So, we can only have 75 people. Yes, I thought you'd
Yay,
be into that.
So exciting.
But it's going to be a lot easier than our 300 people event. So this is like, a piece of cake. So
it's a cakewalk for you.
I'm kind of looking forward to that too.
Nice.
Little break.
All right. And then coming all the way and down to New York, Rick, what's going on with your fashion week? How are you doing?
My apologies, first of all, for being in such an uncomfortable area again. Once again, the pandemic have us like this. We just finished doing our show, and I'm here working with my editor, trying to get some music and some stuff on the show. So I'm on the road, and I'm sorry for the noise. My apologies to your guests and to you. Yeah. So, but for us at Fashion Week Brooklyn, we didn't let the pandemic kind of get in the way. What we decided, we couldn't do our show in April, so we wanted to make sure we still do something. So we decided to tape all our shows and then stream them. So last week we taped 5 days of shows with at least 6 designers, all outdoors. We had hair and makeup. We did it in an amazing location. We all had a social distancing, temperature check. We followed all the guidelines, but we were able to pull off some amazing shows.
Nice.
On several different rooftops, including a children's wear show.
Wow.
So we had children, we had sustainable, we had ready to wear, and we had streetwear.
Nice.
We taped about 5 designers each day for 4 days. And right now we are just editing all the shows, and then we're going to stream them online.
Nice.
Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all your social media. So it was challenging though, but it was good because I think the creative wanted an outlet. The models wanted to be out, the hair and makeup people wanted to do some work. They had all their shields and stuff on. And we were lucky enough to get some amazing space that allow us to really social distance.
Nice. With New
Yeah.
York, is it a lot harder to like find the locations, or are businesses open and be like, sure, no problem, as long as you follow the guidelines?
For us, it was easy because a lot of the places actually, because we wanted to do it outdoors, they were very accommodating, and they also wanted an opportunity to show that their business is still in existence. So we were very lucky, yes. Yeah. We actually taped one of the shows on a rooftop that's a soccer field.
Wow.
So it was a very huge soccer field on a rooftop. So we had a lot of room for social distancing.
Most definitely, if that's a rooftop soccer field.
Yeah.
Lots and lots.
It was amazing. Yeah, yeah. So we bear it through. I mean, you know, everybody was very, very careful. Everybody wear masks when there wasn't hair and makeup. You know, we had the models backstage. We had all the chairs all 6 feet apart. But as Rosanna mentioned, we didn't have any guests at all.
Right.
We only invited the press and the media to cover the event.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah. So now we taped last week, and the show is gonna launch. Its first day is October 11th, which is Sunday. So every day at 6 o'clock, we're gonna be able to go to our website and see a show.
Wonderful.
Yeah, from the 11th to the 18th.
Nice. So
Yeah.
I will toss this question over to Rosanna now. In terms of fashion weeks, do you think with all of this going on, is there still an importance for a fashion week in general, or for designers? What's your take on, like, now that we are going through this COVID situation and we can reflect on these fashion weeks, like, do you see this an importance for this? Do we still need to do this, or a traditional sense of it?
You know, it's actually, I look at this pandemic and this year as really a year to reflect. And, you know, Althea, I've known you for 10 years, ever since I think my second StyleWeek Northeast. And, you know, I think that I was always on nonstop.
Right.
And we were biannual. You know, we have shown over 270 designers.
Wow.
You know, our press impressions to date have been 10.2 million. You know, we've been in Forbes 3 times. We've been in Town. We've had wonderful results with a lot of hard work from all of my team over the past 10 years. And I also do PR. So I have my full-time job. And it's been interesting to stop and look back, because I just don't do that. And I'm so bad at that, you know, and I think that, you know, he can relate, where it's like, you're just so in it, you're so in it, you're so in it, and you're trying to do the next and do the next. And oh my God, Style Week's in only 6 months. And it was like Groundhog Year every year for a decade. And, you know, so this allowed me that moment to reflect, but it also allowed me that moment to not only reflect on what I do, but to reflect on designers and reflect on the business of fashion as a whole.
Right.
So to circle back to your question, do we need fashion weeks? Do we need this? I think that the community needs it, just like we needed Vogue in 1991, where we were little girls and Vogue was everything, right?
Exactly.
I think we need it for, you know, the aspiration aspect and, you know, the community aspect, where, you know, when I started Style Week, it was very important to me that it wasn't just about buyers and, you know, people with egos in the front row and my cousins sitting front row. No, it was about engaging the community, as well as getting the designers some press, influencers, bloggers, promotion, etc., whatever, and also creating a constituency. So for me, the Fashion Week model, you know, and I had this conversation, I was blessed enough to meet with Stephen Cole from the CFDA, and he's the one who told me, keep it small, keep it boutique, because once you go really big, you get lost in it and you forget what your message was to begin with. And so I've always kept it really small. And when we went to the convention center, I was even like, is this too big? You know, like, because the Biltmore was so beautiful, you know, and we had our small little group, but I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but I do think we need it. But I do think that this is going to enforce and evoke change. You know, where, you know, do we go back to the 300 attendant StyleWeek Northeast? I'm not really sure yet. I'm really not. You know, do we kind of back up and go smaller, like what I'm going to do next week? Perhaps, you know, where, you know, it really depends on how everything pans out, you know, from, you know, of course, the pandemic perspective, but also the business perspective. Because after, you know, being in this business for a decade, and I'm aging myself entirely, but, you know, you start to see, you know, it's expensive to put on. You know, and at the level of production that's important for me, you know, it's expensive. You know, and a lot of these emerging designers don't have the funding to put on a really high production, you know, a show. You know, so, and I think that, you know, perhaps going smaller or being selective and having maybe more events, you know, maybe the seasons don't really matter anymore. You know, maybe it's, you know, all season. We have a few designers that we know very well who are doing all season, and making it more accessible and making it, you know, that brings down their costs a little bit. But, you know, I still do think and wholeheartedly, feel that we do need some sort of event fashion week, because that's just fashion DNA.
Right.
You can't get rid of that, but you can become innovative in other ways to do events more effectively. And, you know, I mean, we constantly have to reinvent ourselves in order to stay relevant, right?
Exactly.
So, you know, but that was a really long-winded answer. I'm so sorry.
But it's actually helpful and insightful, because I mean, look at the changes. You said it yourself, you were able to reflect, because the time was never that. We were always just a machine, just going. And because you're biannual, when do you have downtime to be like, all right, this was good, that was good? It's like, no, all right, next show, these are the designers, here's what's going on. So it's just like, in a way, 2020 just helped you be like, okay, put the brakes on and really start to think like, what really makes sense, what was good, and let's keep pushing that good, instead of being like, all right, we're doing this because we need to do this.
Exactly.
Now you can redefine like what the style week looks like.
Right. You know, like I always said, like, I mean, my fashion is so boring. I'm more of an events public relations person. So I give the platform, and then all these beautiful people, designers, can make it look pretty, you know, but I'm sure he can relate.
I'm like, I don't look to me. I'm just like, look, here's a stage, do what you need to do.
It's all yours.
And getting your name out there. I'm always been like this champion for designers, and wanting, like, I see the craft and understand like how much work is put into just one garment. So if there's a way that I can help you just get your voice visually with your clothing out there, and somebody sees and it makes an impact to your business, I feel that's a win for me. Like, that's just how I feel about that, because with my fashion week and my television show, that's always how it's been. It's just like getting you guys out there and giving you the platform that no one's looking at, especially the emerging and the semi-unknowns. We always know the popular folks, but what about that upcoming emerging designer? Like, they need a voice too. That's how they get to the season status. But
exactly.
You have to start somewhere to get to some point. So Rick, I'll toss it over to you. And the thing is, what makes it special is you're in New York, and you have your own with Brooklyn, and then there's like the big mega umbrella of New York Fashion Week. So what's your take with fashion weeks and traditional fashion weeks, and like just going through just what you just did? Are you able to reflect and say, you know what, when we go around, this is what we can actually do? So what's your take from the New York perspective, I should say?
Rosanna, I love everything you said, and I'm so proud of you. Congratulations on your tenure. You know, we need people like you. Our community need people like you, and also you, Boston Caribbean Fashion Week. We all need, we need to keep doing this, because our community needs us, and we are the champion for so many emerging designers. I'm glad you were able to speak to Stephen, because they're huge, they have money, it's tough, but not everyone can afford it. And every day I said there's a new designer or a new creative, and who's going to nurture them? So they need to come to people like us. So we need it. And with the pandemic, we realize more than ever, we need creativity. We need people to be creative. We need people to explore. You know, this season we call our theme was innovation and minimalism, because we wanted to make people to feel like you want to be innovative. You have to find a way to get past all of this and make something new. You know, and I go back to the season thing. We don't do any seasons anymore, so we are seasonless. I do season 1 and season 2. That's how we do it now, because emerging designers cannot afford to do a collection every season. It's too difficult, you know, and they need to
100%.
sell what they can sell. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we need Fashion Week. We need us. We need creativity. We have to wear fashion every day. Even if we wear a garbage bag, we're still going to make it fashion ever. You know, so it's about fashion, and it makes people happy. You get happy when you get dressed up. You're happy even when you stay home in your ugly pajama. You still feel great. Yeah. So it's something we need, you know. So I'm happy to know that we are still around, and really I'm happy that you put this together to show that there are still things that we need to do. Like, this is part of what we do. Even the Zoom conversation is part of what we do to inspire other people. So I'm very proud of this, that we are all allowing ourselves to still be creative and be in the moment, you know, because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But being in the moment is very important.
Very true.
Very, very true. So my question now I tossed out to you guys is, so as designers are reflecting about their careers and what's going on, especially in this whole fashion state, like what should be their focus now? Like what should be especially for their businesses? Like, yes, you're creating clothes, that's great, but you actually need to work on this aspect now for the business, because this is how you're going to survive. It's one thing to make clothes, but you need to start really reflecting and gearing your eyes on this way. I'll toss it out to Rosanna for this one.
You know, it's interesting because I do work with a few designers on the PR side, and, you know, I conveyed to them that this is a time to reevaluate. You know, do you really need to charge $825 for that skirt? You know, is it about quantity? Is it about quality? Is it about, you know, your market, your branding, all of that, you know? And I think that this has given designers the opportunity to reevaluate their costs, their pricing, what they're creating lesser SKUs, you know, and I'm sure Rick can, you know, agree with this, where, you know, less is really more. You want to, of course, you need to make money. You want to make money, but you don't need 28 SKUs, you know, the same pattern, you know, trouser, you know. So I think that focusing on, and I call it the Fab Five, you know, you got a great fitting trouser, you got a great fitting skirt, blouse, blazer, you know, that you can interchange and just learn how to keep your costs down. Now that is a little bit outside of my wheelhouse, because I help more so with branding, promotion, public relations, pitching to different, you know, media outlets. But this has forced me to get a little bit more involved in the production part, and like, how are these designers losing money? How are they, you know, how are they not making it? But I think that, you know, a lot of our designers are so creative and they're so left-brained, you know, that they forget about the business part. And the business part is ultimately what's going to make them survive.
Yes.
You know, so, and that's a hard thing to swallow, because you want to be, you know, so creative, and you are so creative, and the designs are stunning, and, you know, but if you don't have your business stuff in line, then you're gonna have a hard time later in any business.
Right.
But I've had a ton of designers really make a good living off of making masks. And it's interesting, low cost item, but you make a lot of them. You know, it's almost like the Southwest Airlines mentality, you know, keep your costs low, but do a lot of it. You know, so I've noticed designers doing that a little bit more, but.
And it's interesting you mentioned that, because in another conversation we had with one of the other designers, they were talking about how they did the pivot to mask, and it was now like the struggle of like, has my brand come to this? I'm technically a high-end brand, and I'm now making masks, but I need to survive and to do something. One, I want to get back to my community. Yes, that's not an issue, but this now going to define how I make my living, because I'm not in the business for this mass production, because in order for you to see the profit, you got to be making a lot of those and make sure you're selling them. And then now you have this new competition where you were that one for the moment, but now here we are in October, everybody, even big box stores are carrying them and making them. So it's just like, so now what do I do? So it's
and even so, it's a good PR move. So might not be a moneymaker, but it keeps your name out there and it keeps you relevant. And, like St. John, St. John is one of the best knitwear brands, as we all know, in the world, based out of Costa Mesa, California, and they're massive. Now they're doing masks. Now I can afford St. John because I can buy a $40 mask and it's St. John. You know what I mean? So it's interesting how now it's almost like high fashion has become even more attainable in a really, really weird way. So, I would never be able to afford a St. John dress. I wish, but now I can get the mask.
So, Rick, what would you say is like a focus for designers that they should be working on now? I mean, yes, you got your craft, but besides, what other things that they should be gearing their business side, keeping their business mind open to, or their business eye open to?
That's a very good question, and I like that, because for me, I think what Rosanna mentioned before is the left brain, right brain kind of thing for most designers. And I think this is an important moment for people to reflect and give them a time to really step back and really take care of their business. And I think if designers do that and not think about creativity too much, but more about the business, and I think they can put their business in order, so when all of this go behind us, it's easy to be creative. You can always be inspired creatively, but it's hard to be business-wise if you don't have that business ability, but that's not your forte. So this is a good time for them to do that, and they should realize too, it's a great time because the playing field is kind of level now. Because there's a lot of opportunities for emerging designers to break out. When this pandemic go, a lot of people are going to be able to break out. And in a lot of ways too, not just online, but people will be able to probably afford pop-up shops more, have retail spots, because so many businesses are closing up and a lot of commercial spaces are opening up. So it's easier for a designer to get and try that market to see what it's like. And when the pandemic is gone, because it will go away, that people will be able to want to go out again. So that people wouldn't want to shop online as much. They will still do it, but people will want to go to a store. They want to go and have brunch and then go shopping. So this is an opportunity for designers to really take their time and reevaluate their business and really turn it into something that could be special after this all go away. And as I said, the playing field is a little bit more level now because everybody is struggling at the same time.
So true.
It's so true. It's now easier because with emerging designers, they kind of like, you have social media and everything. So it raises, like, you can actually be that rising star, where the big Lux brand is still trying to figure out, like, how do we do things now? We've lost our audience, and they're still struggling, like, how do I reach somebody? Well, obviously your normal clientele can't have the funds or the means, or they're not focusing on that right now, but still be top of mind. But there's creative ways. But with the emerging designers, you're now coming to the top because they're going to look for you. They're now like, what's out there besides this other name? Or I would like to see this, and maybe I want to support local now. So at least you can have that moment and opportunity. So it's like the timing is really, really great with that one. It is. So with that, I'm just going to wrap up because we're almost coming to an end. We're now getting started. So
I know, right? I was about to get a glass of wine and get on going.
We need to have more founders chat. I need to
damn.
Rick's done ahead of us.
Okay, you didn't tell me that. I would have poured a glass of wine half an hour ago.
It's pineapple juice. It's pineapple and cranberry. I wanted to add one more thing that I think that designers should really take a special observant for during this time. It is important now for designers to understand sustainability, because this is a perfect time for designers to understand how they can make their brand a little bit more sustainable. they could go back to some of the old stuff and revamp it and remake it. They could actually start working on buying fabric. They could probably go to the thrift stores. They could use stuff. And this is a good time. But I think for the planet and for us as a people to understand how sustainability works. Because now you could actually talk to your friends and not going out anymore. A lot of people either put on weight or lost some weight or going to lose some weight after the pandemic. So they're going to want something revamped. They're going to want something remake that they already like. They probably wouldn't want to buy anything new. So it's great for designers, those who can sew, because not every designer can sew. Those who can sew can really now use their skills to create a new business where they can remake stuff, you know, and really do some really cool stuff. And I'm all into sustainable design right now. And I think it's really so important. That's my take.
Yeah, no.
So
good point. Very good point.
On that note, I would like to end it here. I would like to thank my lovely two special guests. This is an amazing conversation. Like, I want to do this again, but like now add like more founders and more founders, because it's amazing to have like different pockets of like what everybody's doing and hearing what's going on, because it's like we're all focused in our own little worlds trying to make it, and we realize we're all like in the same struggle of what's happening, and it's like it's good to just talk to each other and be like, hey, well, how are you doing in your world? So once again, I would like to thank my guests, Rick Davy from Fashion Week Brooklyn and Rosanna Ortiz of StyleWeek Northeast. Thank you so much once again for participating in our Founders Chat and the future of fashion.